This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
Next on the 5 o'clock report.
I will not allow this chaos to continue.
Show Governor Hochul we're not going to take it anymore.
Once the wind hits, like, this is Antarctica.
This is one of those things you can do to give back. If you've got a certain vehicle that is able to get out in the snow, use it.
The predator that contacted Gavin was recently extradited to the U.S.
Not one of those people that loves this cold.
Everybody's always asking if we have any rock salt.
Now, let's go to the newsroom.
Good afternoon and welcome to the broadcast. I'm Family Life News anchor Sarah Harnish. Showdown. The National Guard has arrived at the Elmira Correctional Facility. New York Governor Kathy Hochul keeping her word that if employees don't get back to work at 24 prisons statewide, she'll bring the troops in.
I will not allow this chaos to continue. If it is not resolved, I will send in the National Guard to secure the facilities in question.
Armored trucks showed up in Elmira today. The governor had a few words for the workers themselves.
These disruptive and unsanctioned work stoppages are jeopardizing the safety of their colleagues, the prison population, and causing undue fear for the residents in the surrounding communities.
Officers are upset over safety, salaries, and staffing shortages, some pulling 32-hour shifts. Kevin Brunn has been a corrections officer for more than 30 years in New York.
The time has come for these men and women to make a stand and show Governor Hochul that we're not going to take it anymore.
State Senator Mark Walczyk says there's only one way for the strikes to end.
Give corrections officers the tools that they need to do their difficult job.
Virginia, North Carolina, Maryland, and Delaware could see 12 inches of snow today. Fox meteorologist Ian Oliver is there.
We're on the Virginia Beach Boardwalk. This is about 10 miles off to the south of the mouth of the Chesapeake. 1 inch per hour snow rates. In any given year, they average about half a foot. They've had that already this year.
That much snow isn't common there. Stores are out of stock.
Out of shovels, no salt, no sand. I think I've been to like 3 different grocery stores.
Eastern Kentucky's getting slapped too. They're still dealing with flooding from last week. Governor Andy Beshear.
All crews are still on the roads, and many of the routes are still snow covered, hazardous, even interstates.
And then there's the deep freeze. Tulsa, Oklahoma is at 12 degrees at this hour.
Once the wind hits, though, I'm like, this is Antarctica. This is the equivalent of Antarctica.
John Schweibach leads a group called Jeepers Anonymous. They're Jeep owners that give free rides to first responders and healthcare workers during bad weather.
This is one of those things you can do to give back. If you've got a certain vehicle that is able to get out in the snow and you're comfortable with it, use it.
The U.S. Senate held a hearing today on kids' safety online. Among those testifying, a South Carolina state lawmaker whose teenage son took his own life after being victimized by an overseas online predator.
The predator that contacted Gavin was recently extradited to the U.S. 2 weeks ago from Lagos, Nigeria. The predator not only attacked my son Gavin, who was 17, but also began to extort my 16-year-old son, my 14-year-old cousin, and then myself.
Experts testified about the increasing mental health strain on youth by social media apps. A bill to hold social media platforms liable for failing to control online predators died in the House last year after intense lobbying by big tech companies. 2 people are dead after a mid-air collision between 2 small planes in southern Arizona. Marana police said the incident happened just before 8:30 this morning, 20 miles northeast of Tucson. No reports yet on a cause. Delta's CEO is speaking for the first time about the plane that flipped on its back with 80 people on board in Toronto this week. Ed Bastian gave this interview to CBS News today.
It was an experienced crew. There's one level of safety at Delta between our mainline and our regional jets. All of these pilots train for these conditions. They fly under all kinds of conditions at all the airports in which we operate.
All 80 survived. From planes to automobiles, the Trump administration has slammed the brakes on New York City's congestion pricing system, which charges drivers a $9 toll to enter parts of Manhattan.
I'm all for it. Every day I come down here, I have to pay congestion pricing. It's getting really absurd.
It's messing up business
especially on weekends, a lot of businesses have lost a lot of money.
CBS reporter Jessica Moore.
The Department of Transportation is sending a letter to Governor Hochul this afternoon saying it is, quote, backward and unfair. We have a copy of that letter. It says that everyone should have access to the city, not just the elite.
The Vatican says blood tests have shown a slight improvement in Pope Francis's condition as he battles pneumonia. CBS reporter Seth Doan.
He is seeing close aides who are bringing him documents and papers to review and sign. We also understand he's been making phone calls on the phone quite a bit, and well wishes have been pouring in not only from within the hospital, but outside the hospital and around the world.
The 88-year-old Pope has been hospitalized since Friday. And think you got a lot of snow this winter? Family Life's Mark Webster says, think again.
Snow. It just won't stop snowing in the tiny central New York hamlet of Pinckney. The little Lewis County burg, population just over 300, has been buried under an unofficial total of 300 inches of snow this season. That's 25 feet, roughly the height of the average two-story home. And even that isn't a record there. In the winter of 1996-97, Pinckney topped 400 inches of snow. Mark Webster, Family Life News.
That's crazy. Still to come on the 5 o'clock report, states of emergency lifted for Oswego County. The rock salt runs out in Pennsylvania, and a lawmaker taking aim at hospital visitation hours. Those stories and more after weather with Kevin Williams.
Another very cold night coming up tonight. Mainly cloudy skies, couple of flurries. Low temp single digits and low teens. Thursday, cloudy, occasional light snow and flurries. Generally, it's a dusting to an inch or two. A little more, though, along the south shore of Lake Ontario. High temperatures mid-teens to mid-20s. Friday, clouds, a few flurries, and some sunshine, with high temperatures on Friday in the 20s. But over the weekend, temperatures will moderate a bit. Some of us will flirt with the freeze point.
That sounds really good right about now. Thank you, Kevin. Checking the stories making news where you live across New York and Pennsylvania. A state of emergency has been lifted for Oswego County, New York, where blowing snow last night and this morning caused blizzard-like conditions.
It's a whiteout. You can't see anything.
Winter weather advisories are still in play until midnight. It feels like 9 degrees out there across New York and Pennsylvania with that wind chill in play. The sun still in the sky. The bitter cold has homeless shelters working overtime. Kurt Craze runs Our Neighbor's Place, a shelter that's funded through the Erie United Methodist Church in Erie, Pennsylvania.
2 nights ago, we were at 58. The average is around 47 a night. The individuals who are coming to Our Neighbor's Place are increasingly individuals who are between the ages of 18 and 24.
Chuck Nelson with the Upper Room Ministry, also in Erie, tells Jet TV.
When it's something where it's not a temporary thing, but like an absolute need, that they have no other options, that's where we step in and open our doors.
Both shelters are in need of donations, everything from hand warmers to sweatpants to thermal clothing. The rock salt shortage isn't just a New York thing, it's now hitting Pennsylvania too.
There's a lack of rock salt in our area.
Everybody's always asking if we have any rock salt. We just don't have any.
I went to Walmart, I went to Home Depot, I went to Tractor Supply. Nobody had it. Ended up finding it at Honesdale Agway, and I was able to find a couple bags of rock salt.
Apparently, this is the coldest winter we've had in 10 years.
Can't be over soon enough. I'm not one of those people that loves this cold.
Business owners in Honesdale, PA told WNEP why there's a shortage.
It's kind of towards the end of the season, so a lot of the mines aren't bagging any right now. There's a shortage of it because of everybody, needing rock salt because it's been such a cold winter.
The company that plows us, they said that they are unable to obtain any more salt, so whatever they have left is basically what they can use.
A Pennsylvania lawmaker is taking issue with hospital visitation hours, calling hospitals places of loneliness and despair. Republican lawmaker Doug Mastriano has introduced the No Patient Left Behind Act and wants the facilities to have more open visitation policies. He says patients left alone in hospitals individuals experience faster physical and cognitive decline. And the vice president of the Christian ministry World Relief talks about how settlement of refugees legally in this country is being affected by the cost-cutting measures of DOGE. Our Martha Manikas Foster began her interview with Matthew Sorens. He says illegal immigrants are different than political refugees. Let's listen in.
Someone who has left their country because of a well-founded fear of persecution, that is specifically on account of their race or their religion, political opinion, their national origin, or their particular social group. They consider someone a refugee when our government has made that determination overseas. It could be a Ukrainian who has fled to Poland, an Afghan who has fled to Pakistan, or a Burmese person who has fled to Thailand. Vetted at that point, and if the U.S. government's interview process and background checks confirm their story, they could be resettled to the United States through what's historically been a public-private partnership by a nonprofit organization, most of the time a Christian organization. The refugee process, where we already know that this person qualifies when they arrive, they can work right away, which means they can be self-sufficient. It's actually a really great process that's worked really well for many decades under both Republican and Democratic administrations.
How have the newest directives from the Trump administration changed refugee resettlement, and what does that mean for refugees just recently invited into the country by our government that are kind of in the pipeline?
So on day one of the new presidential administration, President Trump ordered a temporary suspension of all refugee resettlement. From January 27th, for at least 90 days, there will be no refugees arriving. That was really disappointing to us at World Relief, and we're appealing to him after that 90-day review to resume refugee resettlement. He has said he wants to stand with persecuted Christians, and we'll highlight with our partners at Open Doors, 30,000 of the 100,000 refugees resettled last year were Christians from the countries where Open Doors says that Christians face the most severe persecution in the world. So it really is a lifeline for the persecuted church. The second change, though, that caught us off guard, we got a notice as a resettlement agency from the State Department that we should stop work on serving any refugees in their initial 90-day period. For World Relief, it's about 4,000 people. And that includes refugees. It also includes special immigrant visa holders who are specifically they're Afghans who serve the U.S. military.
Right.
And as a result, were at risk under the Taliban. And they get the same 90-day support. That was really troubling to us. I mean, I don't think that they're telling us you cannot serve those people. They don't have any legal authority to tell us we can't use private resources. We are relying on church partners and donors and volunteers more than we ever have before.
You can subscribe, listen to, and share Inside Out and all of Family Life's original podcasts at Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube, or at familylife.org. Time next for tonight's market report brought to you by Faithward Advisors. Wall Street is closing with stocks higher as the S&P 500 notches another record close. At the final bell, the Dow Jones Industrial Average gained 71 points to 44,627. The S&P 500 rose by 14 points to 6144, and the Nasdaq gained 15 points to 2056. Faithward Advisors is a Christian financial planning firm online at faithwardadvisors.com.
It's easy to come up with excuses, especially about budgeting. Hi, I'm Rob West with the Faith and Finance Minute. We've probably heard them all, like, my job's secure, so I don't have to budget. But no job is bulletproof. Or, it won't happen to me, but bad things happen to good people all the time. Here's another. I stink at math, so I can't budget. Sorry, you don't have to be Albert Einstein to set up a spending plan. The FaithFi app gives you 3 different ways to set up a budget, and it does the math for you. Download it wherever you get your apps and search for FaithFi, Faith and Finance. Everyone eventually gets around to living on a budget. The trick is to set up a plan for spending wisely before you're forced to by overwhelming debt. Discover the best Christian financial articles, podcasts, and videos by visiting our website, faithfi.com, or by downloading FaithFi, Faith and Finance from your app store.
Coming up on the 5 o'clock report, Jesus in the airport. We got that story after weather with Kevin Williams.
Another hug your honey night coming up tonight. Bitter cold air, but at least not much wind. The cold air lingers through the rest of the week. More moderate temperatures are due this weekend. In the meantime, for the night tonight, frigid. It will be partly to mostly cloudy. Some light snow and flurries at times across western and central New York and the northern tier counties of Pennsylvania. Low temperatures, single digits and low teens. For tomorrow, cloudy skies, occasional light snow and flurries. It looks like a dusting to an inch or two, generally a bit more on the south shore of Lake Ontario. High temps tomorrow, mid-teens to mid-20s.
Thank you, Kevin. Finally at 5. You've heard of chaplains at the hospital, but have you heard of them at the airport? Tampa International Airport has hired teams of chaplains that roam the terminal.
Hello, Mary Lou.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thank you.
They're there to offer support, comfort, encouragement, a joke, and a lot of prayers for people in need. The chaplains say the best security system by far is Jesus Christ.
We're the airport's best kept secret. And we kind of keep a low profile.
Those chaplains pulling up a chair beside a crying passenger, being there for those in distress that have missed flights, and being the words behind the strength that only Christ can give.
You want them to know that you care. And people, when they hear that, they say, "You really do care, don't you?" I said, "Yeah, I really do."
Hands and Feet of Jesus in Tampa, Florida. And that's the world that we live in for Wednesday, the 19th of February. I'm Sarah Harnish, and this is the 5 o'clock report on Family Life.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.